Shalom Yasha'Allah, Shalom Yasha'Allah, Shalom Yasha'Allah, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Alright, double honor to the elect elders of Israel that rule well, that helped lay this foundation with sincerity. Alright, salutations to you brothers that labor in sound doctrine. Alright, and Yahweh Shema Shai Barakatim to the hopeful elect. Alright, peace, blessings, salutations to the house of David, man. Alright, this King Dalen, brother Kaloya Allah. I'm back with another lesson, back with another topic, back with another video. All through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. Alright, and won't let me see if I probably it won't let me it don't matter. Alright, but the title of this lesson is gonna be Acts chapter 10, verse 35 breakdown. Alright, it's the book of Acts chapter 10, the book of Acts chapter 10, verse 35 breakdown. And we just gonna, I got some precepts listed, so we just gonna see how we go through the spirit, man. All right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. All right, I'm gonna read that one more time. It says, Acts chapter 10, verse 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. All right, so this can be like a stumbling block for brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? You come across this. You know what I'm saying? Like if you unlearned, that's what I'm saying. You gotta be well learned. You know what I'm saying? When you step in the documents of the apostles, man. All right, because my brother hit me up. He had wanted me to break it down, and I broke it down through the spirit. He said he was highly edified, man. So I'm gonna just do this. I'm doing this, so all right, somebody that come across this video, they'll get the understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want them thinking, they're saying this and somebody's lying, right? So, like the scriptures say, we're gonna go into the scriptures and we're gonna rightly divide the word of truth. All right. So, let's read. Let's get the context of this. Let's read. Let's start at verse 34. All right. The book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 34, and it says, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. Okay, let's read that one more time. It says, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. Let's get a precept on that, because it's a precept that links up with this, man. All right? It's a precept that links up with this. There we go. All right. Colossians. I'm gonna start with the verse 20. I'm gonna start down. I'm gonna jump up. All right. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 25. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of person. All right. So we agree, right? So Peter, the apostle the apostle Peter was saying that of a truth, the Most High has no respect of person. Right. That's correct. All right. It says, Colossians chapter 3, verse 25, but he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of persons. So let's get the actual precept in context of what the apostle Peter was saying in Acts 10, verse 34, right? Let's see. Verse 9. All right, let me see. I'll say verse 9. I'm going to start at verse 9. All right, this is book Colossians chapter 3, verse 9. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. All right, verse 11. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor Salaki. Okay, turned off. All right, it says barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Hamashiach, right? But Yahushua is all in all, right? Meaning Yahushua is the one, is the body. All right, we're all one in Yahushua is the body. That's what I'm gonna read that again. Colossians chapter 3, verse 11. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Yahushua is all in all. All right. Let's see what it's talking about. All right, so let's hold on. We gotta slow down a little bit. We gotta slow down. Let's jump back. You know, you gotta link it up. I don't want to jump the gun. All right. I don't want to jump the gun. All right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is in no respecter of person. So we got Colossians 3 and 25. We got that, right? God is no respecter of a person. That's of a truth. And now we get in the context of what it means of not being a respecter of a person. All right. It says, I perceive that God is in no respecter of a person. So let's read on. It says, but in every nation he that feareth him and work of righteousness is accepted with him. So when we jump back to Colossians 3 and 11, it says, all right. So when we jump back to Colossians 3 and 11, it says, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Yahushua is all in all. Meaning Yahushua is makes up the whole body. He makes up the whole embodiment of Israel. All right, and this is speaking to Israel. How do we know he's speaking about Israel? And when they speak about Greek nor Jew, circumcision, it's speaking about all Israelites. You know, how do we know? Let's read on. It says, verse 12, put on, therefore, as the elect of God. Wait a minute. It says, verse 12, it says, this is the Apostle Paul speaking. It says, put on, therefore, meaning do this because it is right, as the elect of God, holy and beloved. So wait a minute. It says, we just read, the Apostle Paul said, Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Yahushua is all in all, meaning there is no respect of a person. In that sense, when you jump back to Acts 10 and 34 of a truth, there is no respect of a person. Like, and then we said 35, it says out of all nations, meaning Israelite foreigners, meaning Israelites that scattered throughout. I'm saying it right. I mean Israelites that scattered into all countries and nations where the Most High have driven them. All right. So let's read. I'm gonna read this one more time. Verse 12. It says, "Put on, therefore," because he said, because verse 11. This is the Apostle Paul. Because in verse 11, Colossians 3 and 11. For this reason, for verse 11, he said this. For this reason, put on, therefore, as the elect of God. Now, who is the elect of God? All right. Let's go to Isaiah. So now we know who. So now we understand who is the Apostle Paul speaking to, man. All right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, and verse 4. All right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, and verse 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake, in Israel, mine elect. You see that? Read that one more time. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake, right? In Israel, mine elect. So the Apostle Paul is constantly giving reference to what? To Israel. Because the Apostle Paul said, who are Israelites who pertain to the covenant, the adoptions, all this go back to Israel. So we're going to read it one more time, man. All right, Colossians 3:11. So you can probably get the understanding. All right, this is the book of Colossians chapter 3 verse 11, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all in all, right? Yahweh Shai is all in all, meaning there is no respect of person. All right, when you get into Acts 10:34, when he said there is no respect of person, this was that lining up with. All right, and then when the Apostle Paul said, out of all nations, right? Well, let's continue. Because out of all nations, he said barbarian, Scythian, meaning these are different nations. You had Israelites that took on Greek customs. You had Israelites that had, kept their forefathers' customs, the Jewish customs, right? You had the ones that are the circumcision. You had ones physical circumcised, ones not circumcised. You had ones of the circumcision, meaning they was of that Levitical priesthood, that was in the know, that was in the keeping of that way. You had the ones in the uncircumcision, the ones that was Gentiles carried over into dumb idols. All right, when he's talking, and then it says barbarian, Scythian. I mean, you got Israelites that scattered into these different foreign lands. All right, that's what that means. It says bond nor free, right? But Christ is all in all. Put on, it says, put on, therefore, for this reason, meaning for this reason, put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering. Now, we just read about how the elect, let's read that again, Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 4. All right, Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, thou hast not known me, right? So the Apostle Paul said in Colossians 3:12, he said, put on therefore as the elect of God. Meaning what? Be renewed, all right? Jerusalem, shake off thy dust, O Zion. Remove them 50 garments off you, man. All right, then it said in verse 12, it says, holy, in Colossians 3:12, it says, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness. Now bowels of mercy, let's go to, all right, because it's all pertaining to Israel, man. All right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 3. Incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Behold, thou shalt call a nation that thou knowest not, and nations that knew not thee shall run unto thee, because of the Lord thy God, and for the Holy One of Israel, for he have glorified thee. So when it talks about, and it said Colossians 3:12, put on therefore as the elect of God, that's Israel, holy, beloved. Beloved is what? The house of David. Bowels of mercy. Same thing. All right. Lord, I will make an everlasting covenant of mercy with you. Kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long suffering. You see that? Let's read on verse 13. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Hamashiach forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these things, put on charity, which is in a bond of perfectness. All right. So let's go back to Acts 10, because this is topic. It's Acts chapter 10, verse 35. Breakdown, man. All right. So now we're getting an understanding of what the apostle Peter was. Let me get to it. So now we should begin to understand what the apostle Peter was trying to make reference to. All right, when he said there's no respect of person, meaning it doesn't matter. All right, if I'm a Jew and it's another Israelite foreigner. All right, there's no difference. We both Israelites. We can both be righteous and have a chance to be saved, man. All right, but let's go back to it, because we want to stay in the breakdown, right? So let's read it again. Acts chapter 10, verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. So right, so we should have that context. We read in Colossians 3 and 11, how he said that is Greek nor Jew, all right, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian nor Scythian, all right, meaning it don't matter what it don't meaning it doesn't matter where the land of your captivity was, because you got Israelites scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and we're gonna get that. It's prophesied in scriptures, and that the Lord will gonna take Israel from all the lands where they were driven. All right, so this was going into. All right, and it says, verse 35, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. Right. So it said, when it said, but in every nation, meaning any not any, meaning wherever the elect at in these foreign countries, wherever the Israelites are scattered abroad, all right, they can be saved. Like I have said in Revelation 7, like it was a multitude of nations, countries, and tongues, man. All right, and it says, and he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. You know. You know, let me read that one more time. Acts chapter 10, verse 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. Right. So, what does it mean by he that feareth him and worketh righteousness? So we should understand that when it says every nation, it means all Israelites. Well, Israelites that scattered in every nation. That's what it means. Israelites that scattered into every country. All right, because the Israelites are scattered into every nation. So we should have that understanding. So what does it mean by he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him, but in every nation? Meaning it's what it means. All right, this is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 7. And every one that shall be saved, right? And every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye believe shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Right, so in verse 35, when it says, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. Right, because you had wicked Jews, you know, who quote unquote they was keeping the law. You know, they knew their history, they was Pharisees, Hebrews, all right, but the Most High didn't care about that. The Most High didn't care because you circumcised the 8th day, all right, and you know what I'm saying, you probably keeping the feast days to a T, all right, you know the law front to back, all right, you know that, you know, although, you know, that's an honorable thing, but if you using that to justify you as you're righteous, the Most High, the Most High is a no respecter of person. That's why, like, it's neither Jew nor Greek, because through Yahweh Shah, all right, we obtain the victory, all right. And then he was saying we are one. Let's get that when let's go back to it when he said we are one, right? I don't want to lose nobody, man. You know, I don't want nobody. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? All right, let's go back to it. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 11, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Yahweh Shai is all in all. All right. Yahweh Shai is all in all. Let me see. I can go to Galatians so I can pull something like similar when it was like all in all. But I know what I want to go to. But see, Galatians right here. Let me say Jew nor Greek, right? Yeah, this all right. Galatians chapter 3, verse. Say I want to start at. Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one. You see that? You are all one. We one body. That's what this was this going into. The body of Yahweh Shah, the third temple. All right. It says, for ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. All right, so let's get precepts on that. Let's fully understand this thing. All right, how you said we are all one. I want to go to Romans. All right, I'm gonna go to Romans, and I want to go to the book of Romans, chapter 12, and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your body a living sacrifice, a holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. So I'm jumping down. Verse 4. I'm sorry, verse 3. Verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. You see that? There's neither Jew nor Greek, right? But to think soberly, according as the Most High have dealt to every man the measure of faith, right? For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Yahweh, one body in the Mashiach, and having, it says, in every one members one of another. You see that? So there's no that meaning, right? Like Muhammad says, there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither this and this. I mean, look, we are of the same body. We all parts of Yahweh Shah. The ear can't be without the if it had no, if it was all nose, what would the ears be? And if it was all eyes, what would the mouth be? If it was all arms, what would the legs be? You know what I'm saying? So this is what this is going into. All right, this is what the apostles are making reference unto, man. All right, let me go to 1 Corinthians 12 chapter. All right, so this is when the apostle Peter in Acts 10 verse 34, when he's saying of a truth, he said there's no respect of person with the Most High. All right, and then he was saying out of every nation shall be saved by that righteousness, is going into, all right, the different offices of the body. All right, there's no respect of person, man. All right, and also, he's going to different offices of the body of Yahweh Shah, and also going and saying, when he said in every nation, going into all different Israelites, all Israelites that scattered into in all the different Israelites that scattered in every land, pretty much. I'm gonna get this. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of God calleth Yahweh Shah accursed, and that no man can say that Yahweh Shah is a Lord, but by the Holy Ghost. Now there are diversity of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of administration. So like I'm saying, that there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. All right? And there are diversity of operations, but it is the same God which worketh in all. You see that? How we just read, which worketh in all, right? And it says, but the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. You see that? For to one is given by the Spirit, for to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit. All right? So let's just jump down. It says, but all these work of that one and self-same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one, and have many members, all members, that is one body, being many are one body, so also is a Mashiach. You see that? For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles. You see that? Jew nor Greek. You know what I'm saying? This what this is making reference. This is what this is getting into, man. It says whether we be bond or free. The part is making the same reference. You know? And have we been all made to drink into one Spirit? For the body is not one member, but many. Right? So there's many different members, many different offices of the body. That's why it says the most high is no respect of person. Because everybody is going to be accounted for their due office, their due service. And we're all one in Yahweh Shah. So let's go back to Acts when the Apostle Peter. So this is, you know, all right, this is a many-fold Acts 10, you know, the whole book, the whole chapter, well, the whole 10th chapter of Acts is manifold, right? But, you know, Acts 10 and 34, 35, you know, those are manifold. That's a manifold verse, man. You see that? So let's get back to it. Let's read it again. All right, so through the precept, now you understanding how, all right, let's read it. Acts 10:34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. And so now we went to 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, and went into the body, the different offices. He said, there's no neither Jew nor Greek nor circumcised, bond nor free. All right, because these are different Israelites in their different respective office, in their different respective body, given a different measure of faith. Like we also went to Colossians, the 3rd chapter, and it broke it down. It says neither Jew nor Greek, all right, circumcision nor circumcision. When it says Scythian or barbarian, meaning no matter what country you're coming out, no matter what, you know, you can be an Israelite foreigner, you're still an Israelite, man. All right. It says, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is in no respecter of persons, but in every nation, he that feareth him and work of righteousness is accepted with him. And we went to 2nd Esdras, the ninth chapter, and that broke it down. It says, he that feareth him and work of righteousness is accepted. That's meaning how you accept it. Meaning when it says in every nation, meaning all Israelites that scattered into every land, the righteous Israelites, they'll be accepted by doing what? It says, he that feareth him and work of righteousness is accepted with him. Like how we got in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, the 7th verse. All right. So now let's revisit Galatians 3:28, and then we want to get that, man. All right, because that might not be enough for one. One might be saying, well, that's not talking about that. It says every nation. Well, because you know, I give it to him because I ain't going to. Shit about to die. Let me see something. So I can charge it up real quick. Cover calm. Damn. Light in my face. You see me? Probably can't see me, man. All right, calm. We back. 2:37. Hold calm. We back. You know. All right, calm. You know, say trying to take away the word, man. Say trying to take away the word, gotta see the pages to read it, man. All right, calm. All right. So, hey, it ain't gonna stop, man. It can't stop, won't stop. All right. I'm determined to break this down, man, to the fullest, playing upon tables. I'm breaking down. If you don't know, I'm in the middle of a live, Instagram live, and I'm breaking down the book. All right. The book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 35, through the Spirit, man. All right, so now I want to go back to Galatians. All right, I want to go back to Galatians, man. All right, this is the book of Galatians, chapter 3, and verse 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. Male nor female, for you are all one in Hamashiach Yahushua, right? So we got that established. The body. That's talking about the body. When he's dealing with that, it's talking about the body of Yahushua, the different offices of Yahushua, all right? The temple of Yahushua, all right? Who are Israelites, all right? And we're going to prove when it says every nation, it's talking about Israelites that scattered into every nation. Israelites that are scattered into the different countries in the earth. The different the Israelite foreigners that scattered into all the different countries of the earth, that scattered throughout the four winds of the earth. All right. It says, verse 29, if ye be Hamashiachs, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Let me read that again. All right. I'm going to read that again. Galatians chapter 3, verse 29. If ye be Hamashiachs, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. You know? Then you are heir. Okay. Okay, it says, if ye be of Hamashiach, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So let's see what that means, man. So prophecy. This is the Apostle Paul is giving what? Revelations on prophecy. You know? Let's go to Matthew. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 8 and verse 11. I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west. All right, east and west, right? I mean, what? From the one end, from the four corners of the earth. I mean, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. All right, it says many shall come from the east and west. And that's Israelites. But don't take my word for it. I'm going to go through the precepts and show you it's talking about Israelites. All right. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Right. So it says many shall come from what? The four corners of the earth and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, so so we got that step, Matthew. So let's jump back. So this is what I'm trying to prove. You know, stay with me. Galatians chapter 3, verse 29. If ye be Hamashiachs, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. All right, heirs according to the promise. So who are the heirs? If you say if you be Abraham's seed, you are. If ye be Hamashiachs, meaning if you be begotten of Yahushua in the spirit by believing on Yahushua, because he's the first begotten of the dead. All right, conquering and subduing death, being risen up incorruptible, and ascending up into the heavens. All right, and Yahushua came. Before Abraham was, Yahushua was. You know, but see, through Yahushua, Abraham got the blessing. See, it's an order to it, man. But see, but you must be of the stock of Abraham, which was confirmed in Jacob. It tells you that in Romans, the 9th chapter. It was confirmed through Jacob. The blessing went through Yahushua, right? If you can receive it, Yahushua was who? The high priest in Genesis, the 14th chapter. Or Genesis the 14th, I believe, it was Genesis the 14th chapter. He was the high priest. That was Yahushua, the high priest, Melchizedek. All right? Abraham received the blessing through Melchizedek, through Yahushua. That's why it says in this, Verse 29, if ye be of Hamashiachs, if ye be of Yahweh Shai, then are ye Abraham's seed. Why is it saying this? Because all Israel ain't Israel. You had wicked niggas, wicked Jews that rejected Yahweh Shai. Guess what? They're not accounted to the promise. They're not heirs according to the promise. All right? And when it says heirs, it means what? Joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. That's what it means when it says heirs, being you're going to whatever Yahweh Shai receive, and you're going to receive that too. You're going to be a joint heir. All right? If you be of a Mashiach, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Right? So if you're of Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai was before Abraham, Abraham had to go through Yahweh Shai to get the blessing. all right? So if you believe in that the way, and then you're an Israelite, of course, because the Spirit bear, only the Spirit gonna bear witness you're an Israelite. All right. Then this says, if it says, then are you Abraham's seed? It says, in heirs according to the promise, man. So when we go to Matthew 8:11, it says, I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, many from the four corners of the earth, or better yet, all nations, like the Apostle Peter was saying in what? In Acts, the 10th chapter, verse 35, when he said, in all nations, all right? Got to break it down for him. Matthew 8:11, but I ain't done. There's more. There's more, man. All right? Matthew 8:11, I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, meaning the four corners of the earth. From the four corners of the earth. From the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun. Meaning from out of all the nations. Out of all nations, meaning out of all the lands of the countries, the elect Israelites are going to come out of all countries, out of all the lands and nations wherever the Israelites are scattered into. It's not talking about actual other races of different heathen nations. No, it's talking about Israelite foreigners that scattered into different, into different nations. Because the Israelites are scattered into all nations. They are scattered and mingled into all nations. You can't get around it. All right, and we're gonna pull up James 1:1. All right, we're gonna pull up the prophecies, how the Lord said, I will take the Israelites out of every country which I have driven them. So these are things that people that want to come against these scriptures and say, well, no, you can't deny that. Oh yeah, the challenge is still out there. It's public service announcement, right? I said, I got a challenge for anybody out there, man. I said, if you can, pull up to me and show me where the Lord had made, besides Israel, right? Called out a Pacific nation besides Israel, a heathen nation by name, and said, I'm going to make a promise, a covenant with you, and I'm going to save you. All right? You won't find, but you can find it when he was calling heathen nations out by name and said, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to judge you. You can find that, but you can't find it the other way around. But somehow these guys, they like to dance around with the New Testament, and they like to play with the gospel, man. Wrestling with things that's hard to be understood, and wrestling with their own destruction, man. All right, messing with their own destruction. But let's jump back to the topic. Matthew 8:11. I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Because if you be of Yahweh Shai, because what was he talking about? Let's see what he was even talking about. Because he said, if you be of Yahweh Shai, I mean, if you be of Yahweh Shai, I mean, you believe in Yahweh Shai, meaning what comes by faith. Let's see what Yahweh Shai was talking about, because that's what they were talking about in Galatians. In Galatians, the 3rd chapter, when he said, if you be of Yahweh Shai, then you be of Abraham. That's what he's talking about in Galatians, and I'm lining up with this. But let's see what Yahweh Shai, hints past before time, was talking about. Matthew chapter 8, verse 10. When Yahweh Shai answered it, he marveled and said to them that followed, verily I say unto you, I have found not. It's like, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Right. So this centurion, all right, had great faith. All right, Yahweh Shai, he was when he was doing his ministry, he didn't find out one that was as faithful as the centurion. All right, he didn't find out one. He didn't find out one was as faithful as the centurion. That was them fly and that. Fucking that, man. All right. So he was saying, I have not found one as faithful as the centurion. In Galatians 3, we just read, it said, if you be of Yahweh Shai, meaning you have faith, then if you have Abraham, and you are heirs according to the promise. This what Yahweh Shai, this what the Apostle Paul was giving reference to in this. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east, west. But this is why this is important and vital, because he says this, and I say to you that many shall come from the east, west, and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. I mean, they will come from the four corners of the earth. All right? So, let's get another precept on that. Jeremiah. All right? Then I'm going to get James. I'm going to get Jeremiah. It's going to further expound into that, showing you that Israelites are going to come from all parts of the earth, be gathered together from different parts of the earth, and being brought to the kingdom of heaven, being brought back to the marriage. All right, going to sit down at the tables. You know, if you can understand, man. That's what it's talking. It's not talking about other nations. No, it's talking about Israelites that scattered into all these different nations, man. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about Israelite foreigners, Israelites that scattered into all these different nations. When it says all nations, all right, that's what it's talking about. This is Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14. Let me see. I want to start at verse 8. Verse 14. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Same thing with Matthew 8:11. Many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, or the kingdom of God. The same thing. Read it again. All right, the same thing. So the Lord is speaking to who? He's gonna tell you. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you. Who is he married to? Who is he married to? And I will take you one of a city and two of a family and bring you to Zion. All right. But who is he married? Let's jump up. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 11. And the Lord said unto me, the backsliding Israel has justified herself more than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return thou backsliding Israel, saith the Lord, and I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith the Lord, and I will not keep my anger forever. You see that? Only acknowledge thy iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy God, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers, under every green tree. You see that? And ye have not obeyed my voice, saith the Lord. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you. All right? Meaning, where you scattered at, turn back. You know, you scattered your ways under every green tree. Under these different under these different nations, man. All right, the different ways of these nations. You know, on the like, cause he driven you there. So he mean on a spiritual level, because you are already driven into these different nations on the physical level. So he's talking about on a spiritual, mental level. All right, but now he's saying, turn out of that spiritually and mentally, and I'm gonna do what? And I'm gonna bring you back physically. All right, he says, turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord. So right, stop where you scattered at, come back to me. Like where you scattered at, come back to me on a spiritual level. That's what he's talking about. And this is what he said. Said the Lord, for I am married unto you. Right. The Lord's woman, the Lord compared Israel to a fine and delicate woman, man. All right. The Most High's woman is Israel. All right. When you get into it, it says, and I will take you one of a city into a family, and I will bring you to Zion. So that's when he's gonna bring us physically. That's when we're talking about physically. All right. But see how it said you were scattered when he says, and has thou scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree. All right. So Israelites were scattered, and then what? They started taking on the ways of the different places where they were scattered at. No different. It's telling you what it is, man. All right. So let's get James. Matter of fact, let's go back to Acts 10, because this is what we're breaking down, man. All right. Acts chapter 10. All right. It's the book of Acts chapter 10 and verse 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him. Right. So Israelites that's in every nation. Israelites that's in every nation. That's what we get into. Israelites that's in every nation. But in every nation, Acts chapter 10 verse 35. But in every nation, he that, how we know it's talking about Israelites in every nation? When you read verse 34, and when you get the precepts to line it up, when he said no respect the person, when you get the precepts, when it's talking about no respect the person, it's talking about the body of Yahushua. All right, it's talking about the body of Yahushua. Who is the body of Yahushua? The Israelites. You know, when he was speaking to his disciples, all right, take this is my body. All right. He was speaking about himself. He was speaking about himself, but he was speaking about the temple, man. He said, when he said destroy this, he said, destroy this temple and I will raise it up again in 3 days. That was manyfold. He was talking about himself, his literal self, and he was talking about the temple. He was talking about the house of David, man. All right, because after you go into Revelation, talk about in 3 days, after 3 days and a half, they stood on their feet. All right, and great fear fell upon them with Sodom. Also in Ezekiel 37. All right, when the wind was blowing the dry bones, and they stood on their feet, you know, moving that, and they stood on their feet, an exceeding great army. All right, this was just going into, man. When they talk about that body, that army, that the house of David, that temple that's getting built, it's no respect of person. For we are all one in Yahushua. So we know it's talking. So now in verse 34, when you get into it, you know it's talking about Israelites. And now you can, in verse 35 is pretty much a sequence. It's the same. It's a sequence of verse 30. Verse 35 is a sequence of verse 34, and we know they're talking about Israelites because of verse 34. We got the context of verse 34 through the precepts, right? Through the precepts, I get understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way. Just keep that in mind. But verse 35 said, "But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted through him." Now we know when Second Esdras, the 9th chapter, when we went to that, it was talking about how they shall be saved. All right, and who is he talking about in that chapter? He was talking about the Israelites. That whole book was talking about Israel. Ezra was speaking to the Lord about Israel, you know, that whole book. So ain't no getting around that one. All right, and then when we go into every nation, all right, we kind of getting into it now. When talking about with Galatians, we went to Galatians, the third chapter, the 29th verse. You gotta be Yahushua and of Abraham. All right, and who's of Abraham? Because he said you gotta be of Yahushua, then of Abraham. It didn't just say you got to build Yahushua and then you good. You can believe like you Christian. Like see, we cut down that doctrine, man. So we showing you this when verse 35 is speaking about Israelites. Because when you go to Galatians 3, verse 29, he said you must be of Yahushua first, or the Spirit. You must believe in Yahushua, then of Abraham. Then let's go, because you might think I'm lying. Let's go back to it. Or you might think I'm lying, man. You might think I'm lying. All right, Galatians chapter 3, verse 29. If he be Christ, right? If he be Yahushua's, then are ye Abraham's. You see that? Then are ye Abraham's. Let me read that again. If ye be Yahushai's, then are ye Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. You see that? And heirs according to the promise, man. All right? If ye be, let me read that again, Galatians chapter 3, verse 29. If ye be Hamashiachs, if ye be Yahushai's, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So you gotta believe on through Yahushua, you gotta believe in that way. Then are ye heirs according to then are ye Abraham's seed, heirs according to the promise. Because remember, all Israel ain't Israel. And you can't Christians can't try to use this and say, see, we believe in Yahushua, we're spiritual Israelites. No. That's not what that's talking about. That's not what that's talking about. Because in Matthew, we went to Matthew 8, and 11, and then we got the pretext, the context, or a precept in Jeremiah the 3rd chapter. All right, when we read 11th verse on 14. All right, but if that's not enough for you, well, let's go back to Acts the 10th chapter and let's read it again. Acts the 10th chapter verse, because this video is Acts the 10th chapter, verse 35, man. Breakdown. Acts 10:35 breakdown, man. All right. All right, this is the book of Acts chapter 10, verse 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. Is accepted with him. You're gonna be accepted, right? Salvation, right? So out of every nation, right? So let's get this, Revelation 7. Because that's prophesied. Every nation. Meaning Israelites that's coming from out of every nation. That's what that means. And we're gonna show you. You know? So this, you can't say to the Apostle Paul, and you can't try to use the Apostle Paul to try to overthrow the foundation. You know. But all you people that do that is gonna get, you know, hey, judgment, man, for trying to pervert the gospel. All right, for trying to give away the comforter to another people. You're trying to steal the joy. You're trying to steal the joy. You know how they say in the world, devil can't steal my joy. Well, when you people say that all nations can be saved, you're trying to steal the joy of the afflicted, the trodden down, the same people that are getting trodden down by these other nations. All right, the same people that are getting trodden down by these other nations, and they find out that there's a rest coming, that there's recompense coming, like the scriptures say, there's vengeance coming. Then you people come around and say, well, no, all nations are gonna be saved. You're gonna have spiritual Israelites, and they're gonna be sitting on the throne of David. They're gonna be ruling the kingdom of heaven. They'll have immortal bodies, and Yahushua gonna hug them, and you know, you're trying to steal the joy. You're trying to steal the joy, man. You offending the little ones, and you blasphemizing the Holy Spirit. Why? Because the Holy Spirit is what? Is a messenger of the gospel. The Holy Spirit is the messenger of the gospel. No, it's deep, man. We kind of get into it. All right, when Yahushua was talking about when Yahushua was talking to the Pharisees, when he was talking about can Satan cast out Satan? Right, because he was doing great works, all to magnify the name of the Father. All right, that in due time, when it was his time, that the Holy Spirit would come to his men, and that his name can be glorified with the Father, if you can understand that. All right, but Yahushua came to do what? Preach the tidings of peace. And let's get that. Acts 10 and verse 36. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Yahushua Mashiach. He is Lord of all right. So, I mean, he was preaching the gospel, man. Came to preach the gospel. And the gospel is Isaiah, when you read Isaiah, the 61st chapter. All right. Good tidings. And then go to Luke chapter 4, verse 17. And then you will see how that correlates, man. And if you're not, what is it? If you're going outside of that, you're perverting the gospel. That's Isaiah chapter 60, Isaiah the 61st verse. The gospel is literally the day of the Lord, man. The gospel is literally the day of the Lord. That's what it's talking about. Matter of fact, let's prove that, man. Showing you that you can't pervert, you can't steal the joy. All right. And it's kind of beside the topic, but you know the spirit kind of go whether it whoops, man. This is the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 17. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written. All right, he found a place where it was written. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he have anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He have sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering the sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. All right, your AD, the coming of our Lord. The year, what does AD stand for? The year of our Lord, man. So basically, I'm going to read that again. It says to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. What is the acceptable year of the Lord? When he comes back and brings recompense. Read Isaiah the 61st chapter. When the Lord comes back, he's gonna strike through kings. All right, that's in Psalms the 110th chapter. He's gonna smite the head of the heathen. He gonna strike through kings, man. Isaiah the 61st chapter. Proclaim vengeance. All right. Recompense, a year of recompense, you know, and it's like a transition. It's like it's like the Lord coming back. It's conquering and domination, and Israel getting raised up, and it goes into it. Like in the kingdom, like you shall be called priest of the Lord, and this and this and this. And it says in the riches of the Gentiles shall ye boast yourselves. You know, so the Bible is you can't try to bring a so-called Christian, because they're not Christians. When you see this word in the Bible, when you see the word Christian in the Bible, don't think it's talking about they ass in the world. It's not. They're not real Christians. They're so-called Christians. It's like the Jews in the world. You like the so-called Jews, the white Jews in the world, the Jewish people. They're not real Jews, man. They're so-called Jews. So these so-called Christians, right? You know, these so-called Christians that believe, talking about some, they're talking about all type of madness, man. You know, talking all type of madness, talking about some, man, I don't even want, But let's get to the point, man. Let's get back to it. All right. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. Kawakan. All right. So we just read, it said, and a great multitude which no one can number, of all nations and kindreds and tongues. So one might think, oh, you see, that's talking about all nations. That's talking about Israelites. That's talking about everybody. Everybody was because they might try to take Acts 10:35 and then take this.